It started with a sentence that sounded like a fuse being lit. In a packed diet hearing, Japan's prime minister warned that if Beijing tried to take Taiwan by force, Tokyo might be forced to act with military power. Those words weren't just a warning, they were a political bomb dropped in the middle of a tense region, and behind them lay a quiet revolution. Japan is changing how it thinks about war. For decades after World War II, Japan kept its distance from offensive power. Article 9 of the Constitution made this clear. The country would not wage war, and its military would be limited. But the world has shifted. Neighboring navies and missile arsenals have grown bolder. Flights and patrols brush Japan's air and sea zones. Missiles fly over nearby waters. A new mood took hold in Tokyo. If danger comes close, Japan cannot only stand and wait. So the government began to build not just more ships or planes, but different tools. Some of these are almost science fiction. Some are small robots. All of them share one purpose: let Japan fight smarter, strike further, and survive when the fight gets ugly. These are 5 weapons that could change the balance at sea, and each one is part of a story about a country deciding it must be ready to act. First came the railgun. Imagine a gun that fires a solid metal slug so fast it needs no explosive head to smash through steel. Tests showed projectiles flying at many times the speed of sound, turning kinetic energy into pure damage. A railgun can reach tens of miles and punch through a ship's hull or destroy radar masts in a single hit. It also costs less per unit of energy than old-style guns, making it attractive not just for its power, but for its economy. On a future patrol ship, a railgun could open a lethal zone around islands, drilling holes in supply ships, landing barges, or the masts that guide a fleet. For an enemy planning a quick seaborne move, a single shot could change the entire plan. Next comes the unmanned surface vessels. These are boats without crew that sail ahead of a fleet like silent scouts or sacrificial shields. They can carry sonar, radar, jammers, and small weapons. They work as a team. One spots, the others herd threats, and all feed data back to the mothership. When needed, they ride lower in the water to hide, making them harder to spot. If an enemy sends a swarm of small attack craft or drones, these robots can move fast, drawing fire away from valuable manned ships. Over time, a screen of unmanned vessels could turn a single warship into the center of a distributed network, many small units sharing the risk and the cost. The third piece of tech is the unmanned amphibious vehicle. Think of a tracked robot that moves from sea to shore, scouts a beach, clears mines, and finds enemy strongpoints before soldiers even land. In island fights, the greatest danger is in the first minutes on shore. Troops and landing craft are exposed and slow. These robotic vehicles go first, using sensors and tiny weapons to spot threats and, if needed, strike or mark them for follow-up. Later, they carry supplies and ammunition, keeping real people out of the worst danger. And short, they let commanders shape the landing zone without throwing away lives in the first wave. Under the water, a quieter race is underway. Modern torpedoes travel fast and come without warning. Japan's answer is to make a hunting torpedo, an anti-torpedo that seeks out and destroys incoming weapons. This is an upgrade of an existing light torpedo, reworked to chase the killer beneath the surface. But a hunting torpedo needs good ears. This is why ships are getting better sonar, tuned to spot fast, hard-to-find threats earlier. Detect sooner, launch an interceptor, and the ship might live. In the brief seconds when a torpedo closes, that hard kill option can mean the difference between survival and disaster. Finally, perhaps the most urgent set of changes answers the new nightmare: hypersonic missiles. These missiles fly extremely fast, can change course mid-flight, and dive unpredictably. To meet them, Japan's not building a single gadget, but a layered brain made of several parts, a multi-band radar that can both see far and look up close, an AI-powered combat management system that fuses data from many sensors, upgraded ship-launched missiles with better seekers and side thrusters for fast movement maneuvers, and, in time, an interceptor that tries to catch hypersonic missiles in their glide phase. Together, the pieces aim to defend early, track accurately, and intercept step by step. It's far from perfect, but it forces anyone planning a missile storm to recalculate. These 5 systems are all different, but they fit a single idea. Use technology and automation to reduce vulnerability and increase options. Railguns and unmanned escorts make it expensive for an enemy to mass ships near Japan's islands. Robotic amphibious vehicles protect troops and win the fight for small, fortified beaches. Anti-torpedoes keep surface fleets alive. Hypersonic defenses blunt the most dangerous modern strike methods. Together, they make a quick, cheap victory at sea far harder to pull off. But there's also a human side to this change. Not long ago, many Japanese were wary of big jumps in defense spending. But as threats grew, missiles, long-range aircraft, and drills near Japanese waters, public opinion shifted. A view that was once a minority became mainstream and budgets followed. These weapons aren't just technical projects, they're the visible signs of a deeper shift in national strategy. Tokyo wants to buy time, choices, and deterrence. The tension builds when we try to imagine a crisis. A foreign strike group pushes towards a chain of islands at dawn. Unmanned scouts fan out ahead, radios crackle, and a railgun lights a straight line across the sea. A small transport goes up in fragments. From below, a dangerous torpedo is heard and met by a hunting torpedo racing to meet it. On the beach, robotic amphibious vehicles move in, find a minefield, and mark the safe lanes for the troops that follow. No single system wins the day, but together they break the attacker's plan. Beyond machines and missiles, there's a slower, quieter battle. Engineering, budgets, and time. These systems do not arrive fully formed. Railguns need huge power systems and barrels that survive repeated shots. Unmanned boats must have secure links and strong autonomy to operate when signals are lost. Anti-torpedo weapons need sharper ears that can pick out tiny threats in noisy seas. Each step requires tests, money, and political will. Still, the act of trying changes the game. Even prototype tests force opponents to plan differently. Commanders must assume future fleets could include ships that fire without explosives, swarms of robot escorts, and torpedoes. That doubt shifts strategy. It makes an attack harder to time and more costly to risk. More than metal and code, the shift reflects a change in choice. Japan is moving from strict limitations towards one where technology buys options. The aim is not to start fights, but to avoid being helpless if a fight comes. The most powerful effect of these programs may be psychological, planting hesitation in an adversary. Hesitation can be as decisive as a weapon on the battlefield. When people, infrastructure, and territory hang in the balance, creating doubt might be the clearest line between peace and disaster and losing lives. So what do you think? Does Japan's move make the sea safer by deterring aggression, or does it risk pushing rivals into a new arms race? Which of these 5 tools, the railgun, robot escorts, robotic landing craft, hunting torpedoes, or hypersonic defenses, would you bet on to matter most in a future conflict? The answers aren't simple, but the true story here is clear. Japan is rewriting the rulebook for how a maritime country defends itself, and that change will echo across the Pacific. Tell us what you think in the comments section down below, and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button.